So this video is being made by request, and it is 11 tips on how to give a good head job to a man or a great blow job. And this request was made after I posted 8 tips on how to eat kitty. And if you haven't watched that post, you might want to go back and watch it. Now, I am not a man, but I'm going to share some tips that I feel like have served me well in the past. And the first one is watch your man self pleasure. And I know this is not going to work for all couples, but if your man is comfortable enough allowing you to watch him, it is a great way to know what he likes as an individual because all men are different and you can mimic the movements, the strokes, the rhythm, and the energy that he uses to turn himself on. Like it's a surefire way to kind of know what he likes. The second thing is go slow, build anticipation and edge. This is really important for multiple reasons. Guys like really fast, aggressive stuff a lot of times when it comes to sex. However, they also like nurturing, they also like sensuality, they also like to feel special. And the best way to make somebody feel special is to go intentionally and go slowly and build curiosity. And another reason why this is really important is because it takes time for the reproductive organs to become erect because men and women's reproductive organs become erect through blood engorgement. So the more you can slowly build excitation and momentum and just energy, the longer you have for the blood engorgement process to happen, and the more engorged the tissues are, the more intense the climax will be. So, take your time, kiss down the happy trail, rub your hands over his chest while you work your mouth down to his goodies and do all that stuff, taste, touch, smell, let him know that you are fully engaged and you're taking your time because you're about to have some fun. Third is use your hands. My hands, I think, are my specialty because I know how to do lingam massages, which is a tantric massage for men. And so I get to shine in that area. But if you don't know a lot of hand movements, just know that they're important, the double twisting, the stroking. And then, which would be the next tip, is you can focus on the tip, which is the most sensitive area of the penis. Like a lot of people focus on deep throating and neck action. But I really feel like, at least in my experience, guys really enjoy when you know what to do with your hands and you're able to go to town on the tip because that's the most sensitive area and they just get more sensations out of that. I think the deep throating is really more for the ego. Um, but if you're thinking about sensations, you can do so much more with your hands and your fingers in addition to your tongue. Also, the next tip is to focus on the frenulum, which is on the backside of the phallus, in between the tip and the shaft. There's this like triangular area where this is skin. It's a really sensitive area called the frenulum, and you want to like tease that area as much as you can with your tongue. It should be very pleasurable to your man. Next is check on him. So when you're doing all of this great stuff with your hands and your tongue and your mouth, make sure that you check on him. And this could be done in a way of like just asking, does it, how does it feel for you? But you can also do it in the form of like dirty talk. You can praise him and be like, "Ooh, you taste so good. Ooh, you feel so good in my mouth. I've been waiting for you all day." Things like that to keep him excited mentally and also just to make sure that you're not doing anything, trying some tips that aren't working for him. Read his body. So that requires you looking at him. So eye contact, which would be the next tip. Like, you don't have to look at him the entire time, but I think eye contact is really important because it lets your person know that you're fully present. You're not thinking about groceries or chore lists. Like you are fully present. You're watching him. You're fully engaged. And he might have his eyes rolled at the back of the head, or he might be looking down at you, like completely enjoying the whole process. But always kind of try to keep the eye contact with him and like revel in your power in the moment. Um, Next is don't forget the perineum and the testicles. That's very important. I feel like for a man, um, if you don't pay attention to the testicles and the perineum or go any lower, he might be missing out on some great sensations. It creates more of like a full experience. And so, plus, there's just all sorts of like really juicy nerve endings in the perineum. Some men may not want you to go down too low. However, if they as they get comfortable with you, a lot of times guys like that area to be massaged. They like it to be licked, kissed, all the things. So have fun. There's so much stuff to play with down there. Um, The next thing is keep it wet. So this is where I feel like the deep throating is really nice because you can create like natural saliva through that as things become more intense. For me, I like to play with the saliva, let it, let it come out my mouth slowly and then kind of slurp it back up slowly and for sensation reasons. Like I like to do it for me, but also so he can see, you know. I think when it comes to head, even though some men like it super sloppy, some men don't, but nobody wants like dry oral, men or women. But I also think if you're a little bit nasty, like guys are gonna like that. You don't want to be too like prim and proper. Like you want to get down and dirty, and have a little fun. But with that being said, which is my next tip, you need to enjoy it. So how do you enjoy giving head? I feel like you have to do it your way. Like you hear people say, "Oh, you got to do it for yourself because you enjoy it," but for me, eating kitty is probably a little bit more enjoyable than like giving head to a man because it just requires more work. However, I have found that when I'm really into a guy and I do like oral stimulation, as long as I'm able to do it the way that I want to do it, right? Like so I love sensuality, I love softness, I love movement, I love sensory. And so that's how I approach it. I approach it very sensually, swirling my tongue around, seeing what you taste like, smell like, feel like, on different parts of my face, things like that, and really slowly building excitement so that I get excited and my throat opens up and my mouth starts to water and like I really get in a groove. And so you have to find how you like to give head because if you enjoy it, your partner is going to feel that, especially a man because it builds his ego. And we know if you can turn a man on by his ego, you got him. And the next is if you can climax. I know this might seem like a lot, but it's possible. Some women just climax from giving head, period, and they are unicorns, I think. For me, I'm not going to climax strictly from giving head unless we're doing 69. However, I have done things like add a vibrator, or play with myself, and climaxing while I'm, doing whatever. And that adds excitement for me. And it also is very exciting for my partner, I found out. And last but not least, this is kind of a bonus one. And this is probably for people who are like married or in serious committed relationships. You could ride and then hop off, give some head, ride again, alternate between riding and giving head. Like I've done that before, and that's a lot of fun. And my partner seemed to like it. You just have to decide where you want to finish. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. And if you feel like you have anything to add, please tell me in the comments.